stock. Back to you, Thomas.
Major General G, as always, thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure to talk to you here on NewsX World. We now move over to the United States for our next story. And Democrat Zohran Mamdani is sworn in as New York City's mayor, has announced a slate of executive actions aimed at expanding housing affordability and strengthening tenant protections. Mamdani has issued 3 executive orders designed to address the city's housing crisis. The measures revive the mayor's office to protect tenants, establish a land inventory task force to accelerate housing development, and create a task force to streamline permitting processes for new construction. Mamdani, who campaigned heavily on cost of living issues, reiterated his focus on holding landlords accountable and cutting bureaucratic red tape to boost the supply of affordable homes. Let's take a listen in to the New York City mayor.
Today, we are announcing 3 executive orders. The first will be to revive the mayor's office to protect tenants. We will not compromise on housing quality. If your landlord does not responsibly steward your home, city government will step in. We will make sure that 311 violations are resolved, and we will hold slumlords to account for hazardous and dangerous threats to your well-being. The second is to create a LIFT task force. LIFT stands for Land Inventory Fast Track, to leverage city-owned land and accelerate housing development. The task force will review city-owned properties and identify sites suitable for housing development no later than July 1st of this year.
In his remarks, Mamdani also referenced broader national economic concerns, including criticism of Republican President Donald Trump, whose approval ratings have declined over the past year amid ongoing economic pressures. Joining us now is Ross Feingold, a political analyst, and he joins us live from Taipei in Taiwan. Ross, as always, it's a pleasure talking to you. Of course, Ross, you grew up in New York City. What does Mamdani's approach differ? How does Mamdani's approach differ from prior New York mayors? And do you think realistically all his measures are going to work?
It's a really interesting question, but keep in mind that the vast majority of voters in New York City are liberal or even can call them progressive. That's why he was elected. But it's not the first time there's been a very progressive mayor in the last 30 or so years. In the late 80s, early 90s, excuse me, Mayor Dinkins was also a self-described democratic socialist. Mayor de Blasio, who had 2 terms in recent years, was also very progressive. So we've kind of been there before. And we've seen this approach where a new mayor says, I'm going to do a lot for housing costs, I'm going to do a lot for child care, health care, I'm going to help new immigrants. But it's very difficult to achieve those goals. So getting to your second question, he's going to find that it's easy to talk about these things, but actually implementing them is extremely difficult. He's referred to his initiatives with regard to, frankly, cutting red tape to build more housing. But the red tape is enormous. There's only so much the city could do to speed up the permitting process. There's local community boards that have a say in these things. There's environmental regulations, et cetera, et cetera. So how much additional housing stock or affordable housing stock he could bring online in a reasonable, quick period of time is going to be really difficult.
Indeed. And Ross, of course, this comes as there are midterms approaching in the broader United States. Donald Trump, of course, and his Republican Party are declining in popularity when it comes to their approach to the economy. If Zohran Mamdani does indeed improve the livelihoods of New Yorkers, do you think that could be a new outlook that the entire country will be watching to where they vote in the midterms?
The reality is that as poor as the Republicans or Donald Trump's approval ratings have been recently, Democrats' approval ratings not very good either. If they do well in the midterms, it's simply because voters decided they're angry at the Republicans, it's not because they like the Democrats that much. Now, definitely Democrats across the country will be running on affordability, this same word that Mamdani used successfully. Democrats across the country will use this same word. The problem is that in recent years, when they have been in governance, whether at the local, state, or national level, such as the first 2 years of the Biden administration, when the Democrats controlled the White House as well as the House and the Senate, Democrats have governed too far to the left. And America is still generally a centrist country, especially once you get out of the big cities, or one could even say it's center right. So the Democrats' big problem, and the voters know this, is that they tend to govern too far to the left. And they focus on a lot of other non-core issues that the voters come to reject. And that's why Trump won and the Republicans took control of the House and the Senate in last year's, the 2024 election. So the Democrats will talk about affordability, but the voters will also be skeptical that the Democrats might want to do a lot of other stuff that the voters don't want.
Ross, do stay with us as we move on